Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. And it's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Here's something you're not going to hear very often. I still can't wrap my head around that Sixers loss last night. I'm glad they lost. I'm happy they lost. I wanted them to lose. But when they were playing as well as they did, and they went up by 25 points, I thought they'd win the game. And it was like, hey, Quentin Grimes playing great, team's playing great first half, 78 points. And then they blew a 25-point lead to the Houston Rockets, the fifth best team in the NBA. It was an 8 o'clock start time. They ended up going to overtime where Houston doubled them up 13-6 and won the game. That was the first time they actually took the lead, Houston Rockets, in overtime of that game. That was a wild one. But more importantly, to our sports world, some Philadelphia Eagles got introduced to the media yesterday, and a new Philadelphia Eagle was acquired, formerly of the New York Giants, a second-round pick, Azeez Ojulari, another Georgia Bulldog joining the Philadelphia Eagles defense. This is another very much buy low, hopefully sell high type of deal by Howie Roseman. $4 million for 1 year. Another 1 year deal. I don't know how many voided years will be a part of it, but oh my goodness gracious. An edge rusher with phenomenal potential who, if he just kicks the injury bug, will be pretty damn good. And this is after the Eagles signed Josh Uche to be another edge rusher for them, formerly the Patriots, formerly of the Kansas City Chiefs, formerly of the Super Bowl, formerly of a joint practice, as he talked about yesterday during his media session with the Philadelphia media for the first time. He also talked about 11.5 sacks season. And where's that been since then? He got into all that yesterday. So we'll get into all that. Also, Lane Johnson gets a contract extension that will keep him in Philadelphia, not just through the 2026 season, but through the 2027 season as well. As far as cap implications, I haven't seen the numbers for how it affects the cap for this year, but they rewarded Saquon Barkley for, being awesome. And they've rewarded Lane Johnson for being the best right tackle in football for quite some time. So a lot of moves being made yesterday for your Philadelphia Eagles. The Phillies, they start their regular season in a little over a week, about 10 days till things get underway. 11 days, till things get underway in South Philadelphia for your Phillies, and I can't wait for that. Oh, my goodness gracious. So, Azeez Ojulari, as I mentioned, a former, always a Georgia Bulldog, joins the likes of many Georgia Bulldogs on this defense, as you well know. I have been waiting for this big move, and I know people are very excited about this big move. To me, this is a very much potential move. And the one thing that I jumped to with this is now the second New York Giant. Now, this offseason. Saquon Barkley, you take from the Giants, he did pretty well. I guess you're hoping the same thing for Adoree Jackson, and I guess you're thinking the same thing and hoping the same thing when it comes to Ojulari. When I talk about potential, I talk about speed, I talk about quickness, I talk about smarts, I talk about all the things that makes a good player pretty damn good. The thing that concerns me above anything else is the injuries. And that should go without saying. When you look over the course of his 4-year career with the New York Giants, you're talking about 17 games played his rookie season where he got 8 sacks as an edge rusher for them. Then you're talking about only 7 games the following season where he had 5.5 sacks. Still pretty damn good. 5.5 sacks in 7 games is good. 5 of those starts, by the way. Then 11 games and 11 games played each of the last 2 seasons. You want to talk about a nice number again? 6 sacks in 11 games last season for the New York Giants. This is obvious talent, but it's also obvious injury issues. The Eagles are bargain shopping this offseason. This might be their best bargain. They have 2 guys now, 2 edge rushers, in Uche and Ojulari, who are coming in here, and you, 1, have to learn how to pronounce their names if you don't know, and then 2, have a extremely high ceiling. If this Eagles team is able to tap into that potential, then you're not going to be missing Josh Sweat at all. And maybe, just maybe, with Jalen Hunt already being here, maybe, just maybe, with Nolan Smith already being here and adding these two other high ceiling guys, maybe you're talking about balancing things out on that on that defensive line, even more so than you had last year. Look, you still need somebody to play in the middle. And I've been begging, as we all have for a couple of years now, for Jordan Davis to take that major step forward. Took a step backwards last year. Took a decrease in snaps last year. That can't happen. So I don't know who's going to be in the middle of this defensive line, but the potential is there to be better on the edges than you were last year. A full year of Nolan Smith, hopefully playing at the level that he was playing at, not just after the bye week, but after Brandon Graham went down. He's going to get back from tricep injury. Jalix Hunt improving, certainly playing more than he did during his rookie campaign. Hopefully in his sophomore season he breaks out. When I look at this Eagles edge rusher position, I'm seeing a lot of hopefulies here. Hopefully, number one, Nolan Smith is healthy and ready to go. Number two, Jalix Hunt, he takes off from where he left off in the Super Bowl. And 3 and 4, Uche and Ojulari are there to break out. Absolutely break out and dominate, similar to the way they have when they've been healthy. Or, as Uche puts it, when he has been given the opportunity to go out there and prove how good he can be. When he addressed the media yesterday, he talked about opportunities that Bill Belichick gave him when he was with the Patriots and why it worked out to 11 and a half sacks in just 8 games. He also talked about getting the opportunity to go out there and show off why he worked so damn hard at this game, and also being just 26 years old, why he feels like he has so much left in the tank. It's okay to feel pretty damn good about the Eagles' edge rusher position right now, as not a mash unit by any means. That would more so describe what the Sixers put out there and had some success with last night for a time. But it has more so to do with the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are coming in here with a bunch of guys, a handful of guys that have every ounce of potential that they need to fulfill. And this is where the Eagles are going to be going to try to fill the void of a Josh Sweat or a possibly retired Brandon Graham. When you talk about just talent, they seem to have it. They have acquired it. But the potential is there for it. The potential is there for it. The concern is whether or not it wasn't just a flash in the pan with Uche, and whether or not it's going to be another injury-riddled season for Ojulari, who has been placed on IR twice, who has dealt with ankle, quad, ankle, quad, knee, hamstring injuries in his career already. 4 years. Completing his rookie deal. Now, what comes along with being concerned, the number one thing, obviously, when it comes to Ojulari's injuries, is the fact that there is no team, and I know that we all laughed, and we're still laughing heartily at the New York Giants for letting Saquon Barkley go. We're laughing heartily at the New York Giants deciding to a long-term deal, Danny Dimes and Daniel Jones, only to bench him and then release him. I know that's all ha, but nobody knows Azeez Ojulari more so than the New York Giants, and they just let him go. They just let him walk. The injury history is a very real thing, even though he is a young player. But along with that is the talent. So again, the Eagles come into a situation here, and need to remind you, although it's not the same position, but Oren Burks gets what, $4 million, $2.5 million, and they went $4 million for this edge rusher. So they think something of him, I guess. But still, another thing that needs to tell you is nobody else was outbidding the Eagles on a $4 million deal. All right. I'm going to go ahead and be as optimistic as possible, because I think that's what we're going to need to go through this offseason. And hey, if you're going to go through an optimistic offseason, no better offseason to do that with than after the team won a Super Bowl in dominant fashion, by the way, in blowout fashion. You're also going to need to see, or also look at it like this. If Zach Baun, who was for the majority of time a special teamer and an edge rusher with the New Orleans Saints, if he can come in here and be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, then why can't a guy with a track record that at least that includes an 11.5 sack season, that includes a guy that has played for Bill Belichick, includes a guy that has played for Steve Spagnuolo, Two very respected defensive minds, obviously, in the NFL. And now he's going to be coming in here, and you're going to look to tap back in to that type of talent in Uche. And then you're looking at Ojulari, who's going to be coming in here with a track record of success when healthy. And you're going to be asking Vic Fangio to tap into that level of success. And I guess asking this training staff to keep him on the football field. Look, in the game of football, you always have to use the caveat, if they stay healthy. I mean, you got to use it in every sport, but especially football. If they stay healthy, they can do it. If he stays healthy. When you talk about Ojulari, if he stays healthy, you could be having a Pro Bowl level edge rusher joining this defense. If he does what he's been doing over the last 3 years of his 4-year career, well, then you're going to be talking about, again, potential. And it was crazy. Like, I was trying to remember some of his injury issues and couldn't find him on ESPN. Couldn't find him in any press releases you would assume with the Eagles. I was looking all over the place. And then finally, I just Googled Azeez Ojulari's injuries, and it was just, it was a list. It's 5 things. It's like, oh, okay. Well, now this, I know he has injury problems, but damn, son. So he's going to be coming in. He's the brother, blanking on his first name, but the kid that plays for the Cardinals. But he's coming here to Philadelphia. On his way. I didn't see anything from the Giants defense. I said this when they signed Adoree Jackson. I didn't see anything from the Giants defense last year that made me go, let me get some of that on the Eagles. Now they got 2 of them. All right. Vic Fangio, work your magic, babe. Work your magic. But laundry list of injuries. Potential's there. This is what we can get used to when it comes to Howie Roseman's bargain basement shopping, I guess. As far as Uche goes, he got introduced to the media yesterday. I liked a lot of things that he had to say. The number one thing that he talked about was that 11.5 sack season. And he also talked about how he fits in a Fangio defense. Here's what he had to say about fitting. What makes him think he can fit so well in a Vic Fangio defense?
I think just hard work, speed, reckless abandonment to the football, man. Just pass rush, you name it. I just doing my job, man. Whatever it takes to help the team win, and just competing and working hard.
Okay. Now, normally that means nothing to me. However, the story that has been told now a couple of different times of Vic Fangio sitting his players down in his first meeting and says, it's not your fault. You guys just don't know how to work hard. Reckless abandon is a theme of his press conference yesterday. Hard work is a theme of his press conference yesterday. Being dialed in during that 11.5 sack run that he had in 8 games with the Patriots, that certainly was a running theme of the press conference yesterday. But talking about having that high motor, reckless abandon, work ethic, those are all things that are going to fit in rather well with Vic Fangio. Now it's going to be a matter of whether or not Vic Fangio knows how to knows how to use Uche the way he was used in that 11.5 sack run. Here's how he recalls that 11.5 sack run he had.
Yeah, watching those guys in the Super Bowl, I mean, reckless abandonment.
Oh, excuse me. That wrong cut. I'm an idiot. Mi scusi. When it comes to channeling the talent that he had during the 11.5 sack run, he said Bill Belichick just kept on counting on him. And for the first 7 weeks of the season in 2021, I believe it was, he got next to nothing. Got nothing. Then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened in a 3-sack game, and he just kept going after that. And he was dialed in. It's a matter of channeling or getting back to that level of play again. And he's hoping Vic Fangio installs him in with that same type of trust. Now it comes to who he's going to be joining up with. And he shouts out Jalix Hunt, and he shouts out Nolan Smith.
Yeah, watching those guys in the Super Bowl, I mean, reckless abandonment. I mean, I remember a clip of Nolan taking on a pulling guard and just a physical clip. And Hunt, I mean, just coming off the edge as a young guy, I mean, you love to see that out of your linebackers room. And obviously they're coached up very well. by Coach Wash and Coach Fangio. And yeah, I mean, that's what you want to see, man. I saw it up close and personal being at the Super Bowl, and I'm just excited to be a part of this group.
A lot of young talent on the Eagles' edge. A lot of talent in just Jalen Carter in the middle of this defensive line. If Jordan, look, talk about the ifs of an offseason. Jordan Davis going to take that step forward? Going to play more than 33% of the snaps? Is he going to be in shape enough to do it? Who are you going to be relying on? Moro Ojomo? I've mentioned Thomas Booker a couple of different times this offseason. Are these the guys you're going to be relying on to take that step forward? Because right now I'm relying on Uche to channel that 11.5 sack version of Josh Uche. I am depending on Azeez Ojulari to come out here and be the healthiest version of himself. By the way, was it 8.5 sacks? Yeah, 8.5 sacks his rookie year was the Giants' record for sacks in the season by a rookie. Or excuse me, 8 sacks. Giants rookie record. Keeping this guy on the football field is going to be a good thing if they can do it. And then the middle of the line. Who's going to be taking up them blockers? Who's going to be allowing Jalen Carter to still be Jalen Carter? Who's going to be helping out there? We cross our fingers for that. As far as some other guys to meet the media yesterday, if you will. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't label it. That's why I played the wrong cut earlier. This is better. Josh Uche on the 11.5 sack season that he had and what was working at that time.
Yeah, it was a situation where early in the season, Coach Belichick had me as the passers coordinator. And, I was getting some pressures in and things like that, but the sacks weren't falling. But you just continue to swing, and eventually they come in bunches. So continuing to do your job, even though you're not getting the results you want. And even, you can't be a selfish player in this game. You got to do your job, and the stars will align, and eventually your time will come. So it was a situation where I just kept swinging. And then that stretch came, and I did what I was supposed to do. And that's always the player I've always been. Sometimes the sacks haven't always reflected that, but whenever I'm on the field, I'm efficient. And I try to win. So
there you go. Just try to win. Just keep trying to win here in Philadelphia. A repeating theme that I'm noticing, there's two, really. One, just about all these guys play chess. That's interesting. The other thing is, hey, what led you, like usually you get the question as a free agent, what led you to the Philadelphia Eagles? Why how'd this work out? All that stuff. It's just like, well, if you're going to join a team, you might as well join the reigning Super Bowl champions. It's like, okay, that's the right mindset to have. Harrison Bryant, the tight end that they brought in from Cleveland, talked about that. Also talked about being versatile, being in the lineup as a tight end, then also line up in the slot. Excited about joining a Super Bowl championship team. And doesn't look at the business side of things. Because as we know, Dallas Goedert might have already played his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle. Most likely at this point has played his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle. So he was asked about that. And he says, yeah, I don't really get too concerned about the business side of things here. I just let my agent handle that. I think that's a good idea there for Harrison Bryant. And then Charlie Hewlett we'll get to a little bit later because he had an interesting story. These long snappers have interesting stories about how they become – because I don't think any kid goes out and be like, I'm going to be a long snapper. Like, I think kids go out there and they're like, I'm going to be the best quarterback. I'm going to be the best running back. I'm going to be a hell of a wide receiver. I'm going to be just a knockout free safety. I don't think anyone's going to be like, I'm going to be a great long snapper. Like John Dorenbos' story about becoming a long snapper is he knew he could do it. He didn't have any film of him doing it. So he just sent out a tape of his friend doing it, saying it was him. I swear, that's how it happened. And he was like, and then he got accepted. And as the long snapper. Well, Charlie Hewlett had another interesting thing that led to a 10-year NFL career to this point. Not too bad. Lane Johnson's contract extension. I don't know anyone that's going to argue against a Lane Johnson contract extension. He's still playing at a phenomenally high level. He doesn't allow sack. Like, it just, what more could you ask if you're right tackle? Just like, you're going to go out there and don't allow any sacks. Oh, and also you're going to have 1,000-yard rushers 3 seasons in a row, and all of them are going to be different. Oh, and the last guy, he's going to have 2,000-yard seasons. Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, and Saquon Barkley. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, yeah, anything you give Lane Johnson, whatever it is, it ain't enough. My only question is still, and even this morning I couldn't find it, but I don't know what it means for salary cap implications. I would assume in some way, shape, or form. And I even said at the end of the season, when you're talking about being up against the cap, I'm going to look for two guys to possibly get reworked deals. One is Lane Johnson, because it feels like Lane Johnson is always kicking money down the road. The other is potentially Jalen Hurts. Because I know Jalen Hurts with the $250 million deal and all that. That's great. That's huge and all that. But, I mean, I remember Patrick Mahomes signing a $420 million deal and then about 20 minutes later restructured it to create more cap for the team. I don't know if somebody made a clerical error in the front office, but they went to him and said, can we change it? And change it. Now, it doesn't mean that Jalen Hurts would ever lose money or that Patrick Mahomes will lose money. That just means, down the road. So far, one has happened. At this point, I'm not expecting the other. If it does happen, it would be in the next day or two, because it seems like if they're doing this with Lane, they would do it with Jalen. But the question will remain, if the Eagles are going to go about free agency and the offseason with bargain basement stuff and buying low to hopefully get high production out of, like they did with Zach Bond, who will be the poster child of that for quite some time, well, then they're going to be needing somebody else to step up and go in there and help them cash in on those investments, we'll call them. Uche will be an investment. Certainly Ojulari will be an investment. And Zach Bond was the ultimate payoff for them, but then ended up costing them some money. The other thing we have to keep in mind here throughout this offseason is the idea that this is not the same Philadelphia Eagles team that we're used to in terms of philosophy. We're not used to a big money linebacker on this team. We're not used to a playmaking linebacker on this team. We're also not used to a dominant running game that's being used, by the way. I'll go back to the line I used all throughout last season. Well, really midway through the season, I started using it. Have we ever abandoned the pass? Because I've always heard forever, the Eagles are abandoning the run. Andy Reid era. Oh, they abandoned the run. They abandoned the run. I never thought I'd ever hear it. They abandoned the pass. Fewest pass attempts in the NFL. Well, when you have a running back like this and this offensive line, you're going to be pretty damn good. This is a totally different philosophy. Now, when it comes to Howie Roseman, it's still going to be the same cap wizardry. But this is where you're going to have to rely on talent scouting more so than ever. This is where you're going to have to rely on your medical team more so than ever. Because it's not just going to be solving problems by throwing money around. It's going to be solving problems, now that you have thrown money around, in finding those guys that will be the great investments for this team. I've said a number of times, it's either going to come down to that they got to reset the market for the next 5 years with Jalen Carter, or there's another big move coming. I like the Azeez Ojulari move. It's a very good move, but it's potential. It's not a guarantee for anything. I like that the Eagles did it. It's not the Howie wow me move that I'm waiting for. That would be more along the lines of a Justin Simmons type deal. I don't know how they'd pull it off at this point, but if they do, then that would be another Howie offseason miracle. But as of right now, we got to get used to not just Howie, trying to manipulate the cap more so than he ever has, but we're also going to have to get used to the idea that we're going to have to rely on this Eagles scouting staff. We're going to have to rely on Howie Roseman and evaluating talent to make sure that they hit on the draft with all the draft picks they have over the next 2 years, and also what they're going to be able to pick up in free agency. They saw the potential in Uche. They brought him in. They certainly saw the potential in Ojulari. Now they're just going to try to keep him healthy. It's also a matter of tapping into the talent that you have now. Not just with the names I rattled off earlier when it comes to a Jomo or any of those guys, but also the names that you have in Jordan Davis, a bigger name guy, a first-round pick that when he first got here, you thought was going to be moving mountains as a mountain in the middle of this defensive line. And that really hasn't been the case. So who's going to be? That's the huge question I have. Also, other safety other than Reed Blankenship? The answer to the question, Adoree Jackson's going to be your outside corner opposite Quinyon Mitchell. But on the other side of it now is who's going to be playing deep man, who's going to be the eighth guy in the box. Are you going to be looking at Sidney Brown? Is he just a shoe-in for it? Tristan McCollum, is he just a shoe-in for it? The biggest question, other than safety right now, is who is going to be in the middle of that defensive line. And right now to the Eagles, I would assume, with how they always talk about how their bread is buttered on the or in the trenches, I would assume that that's what they're thinking right now as well. Here's to getting that guy, whoever that guy is at this point. But as of right now, you look at this offseason from the Eagles, underwhelming. A lot of potential. Giving all these guys that you're bringing in here a great defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. Hopefully you can tap into the talent that you saw him tap into when it came to Zach Bond. Again, the poster child for a great offseason investment. Went back a little bit to the free agency there, but yeah, I'm sure it'll come out in the next day what Lane Johnson's cap numbers mean with the new deal. So keep our fingers crossed for that. Okay. As this offseason goes on, I'm continuing to look back, and things are always coming up in my feed about the Super Bowl. And look, I really don't want to – I know it just happened, but I don't want to live in that Super Bowl. I want to talk about how the Eagles can maintain and get back to another one and keep this level of competitiveness. And I know some people are very, 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 very down on this offseason. And I'm not depressed over it by any means, okay? The only thing that's taking up my sports depression right now is the 76ers, but, whatever. One thing that I am continuously going back to since the Super Bowl and since, the majority of your defense left in free agency, one thing that I really look at is the fact that this offense is still going to be a dominant offense. If you learned nothing from the Super Bowl, here's one of my favorite things, other than the obvious of a dominant Super Bowl victory, denying the Kansas City Chiefs a three-peat. Other than that, a huge question the question got answered. I don't want to have for the third year a question about Jalen Hurts and whether or not he's going to cost this team a Super Bowl. One of the things that I would hear throughout the season was, this is the Saquon Barkley show. Jalen's the sidekick. I don't think people realize how much of a compliment that is to Jalen Hurts. Because one of the things I love about Jalen Hurts, this is how I think back on his season, that, again, ended with a Super Bowl trophy and a Super Bowl MVP trophy. The thing I look back on when I think about this season is he didn't try to get in the way of something that was being ridiculously dominant throughout the season. He didn't mind stepping aside to, let me just hand the ball to Saquon Barkley. In fact, and this is one of the things that's just mind-numbing to me, Jalen Hurts doesn't get any stat when it comes to, look, this is what the defense is doing. Okay, Saquon, here you go. Touchdown, 60-yard run. Jalen, in a lot of cases, and I'm not giving him credit for the great season that Saquon Barkley had, but he had something to do with it. Jalen looks at the defense and goes, I know it would be perfect right here, and checks to this run from Saquon Barkley, knowing that the offensive line is going to dominate and knowing Saquon can take it to the house. That's pretty ballsy. But Jalen doesn't get any credit for that because he can't read a defense, according to some people. But watching him in the Super Bowl, after listening to another season of his Jalen Hurts the guy, is he holding this team back? I'm scared to death that Jalen's going to cost this team a Super Bowl, that he's going to have to make throws and he's not going to make them because he's not that good. All that's out the window. How many times are we going to have this conversation about whether or not he's the guy? And this was the second Super Bowl he played in. This is the first Super Bowl he played in with Saquon Barkley. And you can talk about how everything around him is pretty damn great and he should be great. Well, he was pretty damn great in that Super Bowl. And I don't know how I missed it in the, in the NFL films mic'd up. I don't know how I missed it in the Eagles mic'd up version of the Super Bowl. But before he threw the touchdown pass to A.J. Brown, after the Zach Bond interception, he just called touchdown. That's some pretty good. That's confidence right there of a guy that knows what the hell he's doing. So Jalen, after his first year as a starter, is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is Jalen Hurts Mr. Right, or is he Mr. Right now? One of the things that makes me maintain confidence in this offseason, with no huge, ginormous splash so far, Howie. One of the things that makes me maintain confidence is, yeah, sure, Saquon Barkley in this offensive line, but Jalen Hurts. All these other quarterbacks you could talk about, whether it's Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, and again, so help me God, if Justin Herbert is on another list above Jalen Hurts this year. But Jalen Hurts doesn't get credit for the work he does off the field, his ability to have a phenomenal pre-snap read and put his team in a great position. And it's not just in the run game. How many times did we hear from Dallas Goedert this year? Oh, you saw Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts checked down to that play, and that's how we got the 65-yard play against the New Orleans Saints. Jalen made the check at the line. 3rd and 7 against the Ravens. Jalen made a check at the line. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty heads up. And the other thing you have to keep in mind in all this, as great as Cam Jurgens, this is not a slight of Cam Jurgens in the least. But without Jason Kelce, Jalen Hurts stepped up when it came to pre-snap reads. I had said going into the season, I got no doubt that Cam Jurgens can go out there and do all the things physically that Jason Kelce did. The question is the communication between quarterback and center, and by all reports, including the guys that play the game, Cam Jurgens, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni coached the game, and Kellen Moore even last year, talking about how Jalen Hurts stepped up when it came to doing a lot of the pre-snap reads and checks that normally he might depend on Jason Kelce for. But you don't hear people talking about that too much when it comes to Jalen Hurts and how he stepped up. So are we going to have another year here after another Super Bowl, after a first Super Bowl win of, I'm terrified about Jalen Hurts? Because I'm not. I'm extra confident that he got Jalen Hurts. And one of the things I've talked about this year, and this could also go to a big reason why A.J. Dillon was added to this backfield, another good pickup here, is having the concern, and I feel like I talk about this every show now, 482 touches for Saquon Barkley is still 482 touches. Is he getting smashed on every play? No, he's not. Are they? I think we talked about it before. Derrick Henry carries? No, they're not. But still, that's a lot of touches. So A.J. Dillon can still give you a good punch up the middle. And Jalen Hurts should still be asked to spell Saquon Barkley a little bit more when it comes to maybe not being bottom of the barrel when it comes to passing attempts in a season. I think they're going to have to rely on Jalen Hurts more to throw a little bit more to get that ball out of Saquon's hands. And not necessarily an only emergency break glass for Saquon, but maybe you don't want to be bottom of the barrel when it comes to that. Maybe you can still have success and win a lot of football games if you're middle of the pack. I don't need a Jalen Hurts leading the league in receiving or in passing yards and passing touchdowns. I don't need that. I don't need it. I'll go for middle of the pack. I'll take middle of the pack right there. But one of the reasons I still am extremely confident is Jalen Hurts is your quarterback. Absolutely Saquon Barkley in this O-line, but you still got Jalen Hurts as your quarterback as well. And I know everyone likes to say defense wins championships, and that defense was absolutely dominant in that Super Bowl, but so was this offense. Holy Stromboli, were they dominant. So that's one thing I'm maintaining. The other thing, and this goes down to how we trust. I know people might think that some people are a little bit too confident in Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. I think you got reason to be. I think when you blow out the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you can be pretty confident. I think when you make it to 3 Super Bowls in an 8-year span and you have changed head coaches and quarterbacks over that time, I think you got a good reason to be confident. Hell, even cocky. Like a lot of us this offseason. And Howie we trust. Mekhi Becton gone. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gone. 2 starters that you could absolutely trust, and you knew what you were getting, and you were getting a high level of play. Gone. And Howie we trust. Yeah. And Howie and Jalen and Nick. And when it comes to signing those big money deals, let's not leave out Jeffrey Lurie not being afraid to sign those checks. Why should he be with a billion-dollar organization? Pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable. So you tell me if you're overconfident, if you're still confident that this Eagles team can still be a Super Bowl contender without a big splash. And let's just say you got 2 rookies that contribute in the upcoming season. Are they still Super Bowl bound in your mind? And I hate to ask the question, if the season started today, because we've still got a whole off season, still got the draft. Like, I don't like asking that question until it's the draft, or excuse me, after the draft. But I still feel pretty damn confident this is one of the best teams in the NFC. Pretty damn confident. All right, this is just insane. If you'll indulge me for a second here. The 76ers played, yep. Do I still have you? Okay. The 76ers played the Houston Rockets last night. In case the Sixers are still playing basketball. I mean, the jersey is, people are still wearing the jersey, but it's not like Joel Embiid's out. Yesterday it was announced Paul George got injections in his knee. His season's done. So the concerns that we had, or excuse me, it is an abductor. Excuse me, it is an abductor. The season that some people feared with Paul George happened. But 5 times in 6 seasons, he plays less than 60 games. That sucks. Joel Embiid obviously done. Tyrese Maxey, I hope, is done. I don't want him coming back. So the Sixers go out there with 9 players available on a back-to-back. They did not have a center available to them last night. Uche Brissett, jump center. He's 6'7". Gershon Yabusele hurt. He's not even a true center, but he was hurt. He didn't play last night. Drummond, no. Bona, left ankle sprain, didn't play. Joel Embiid, remember that guy. Anyway, so the Sixers, with that, take a 25-point lead in the first half against the Houston Rockets. They then proceed in the third quarter. They shot the lights out, too. They were incredible. They scored the most points they did in the first half all season long, 78 points. Then they go into the third quarter, and by the end of the third quarter, it's tied at 102-102. They got outscored 45-24 in the third quarter alone. In the fourth quarter, Quentin Grimes goes on a 7-0 run personally to open up a 7-point lead on the Houston Rockets. Jared Butler hits a 3. The Sixers open up the fourth quarter with a 10-0 run. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's up 112-102. They're actually going to win this game? And then the Houston Rockets come back. And then the Sixers build another 10-point lead. With about 3:52 remaining in the game, the Sixers led by 10 points. And then they blew it. And Quentin Grimes, who had his first career double-double, 46 points and 13 rebounds, with 9 seconds left in the game and the Sixers up 3, makes the horrible decision, with the Houston Rockets fouling, by the way, makes the horrible decision to get the ball just over the half-court line, tries to throw the ball in the middle of the court. I think he was looking for Jared Butler. It gets intercepted, goes the other way with 5 seconds left. Jabari Smith goes to the line. He makes the first free throw. It's a 2-point game. Intentionally misses. Now, I mentioned earlier, Sixers had no center. Sengun comes in off the bench at this point in the game. I think he'd only played about 17 minutes. He comes in the game and shoves the non-center Uche Brissett under the basket, goes up and gets the perfect intentional miss from Jabari Smith and taps it in to tie the score to go into overtime. Sixers get a great look. Why Nick Nurse went to Jalen Hood-Schifino. By the way, Jalen Hood-Schifino is a brand new member of the Sixers, if you haven't been paying attention, which you probably haven't. He gets a wide open. Why they don't go to Quentin Grimes in that situation, I don't know. But Jalen Hood-Schifino gets the inbounds pass, cuts to the basket, and about a step up from the foul line, between the foul line and the top of the key, rises up, gets a great look, clanks it off the rim. They go to overtime. Sixers get their doors blown off in overtime, and that was that. And thank God, because I still want the Sixers to lose as many games as possible. Toronto Raptors lost last night, so same pace. The Nets, they didn't play last night. Sixers are trying to catch them. But I'm watching that game last night, and in the first half, I'm like, agenda aside, the 76ers, this is incredible. This is great to watch this kind of basketball. Agenda aside. Third quarter, agenda front and center. That's more like it, Sixers. Thank you. Fourth quarter, what are you doing? Oh, you're blowing it. Okay, cool. Overtime, thank you. It's, again, what I've been calling the perfect loss. Give me something to watch. Entertain me. Give me something not just to watch for right now, but somebody that can help in the future. I like Jay. Despite the fact he clanked the game winner, Jalen Hood-Schifino, yeah, my man, like you. Quentin Grimes, yeah, certainly like you. As I've been saying, I can't think of another move that the Dallas Mavericks made that they might regret more at the trade deadline than letting go of Quentin Grimes. Did they do anything else at the trade deadline? Nothing comes to mind. Definitely the biggest and worst decision they made was trading away Quentin Grimes. I can't think of anything else. But they gave you something to watch last night at least. And then they're back at it tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night. I'm blanking on who they got. It's not the Spurs. Anyway, it'll hit me. Thunder. It's the Thunder. That's who it is. Another 8 o'clock tip-off. That's who you got. I was going to say they're not playing all Texas teams in this road trip. 3 more games to go. No, 5. 4 more games to go on the road trip. Anyway, that's what you got on your 10-9-8 76ers. Before I get back into the Flyers lost 2-0. Another shootout loss from the Flyers. Womp, womp. Before I go to the chat check, I mentioned earlier that long snappers get their jobs in funny ways. I mentioned John Dorenbos. He sent out his long snapper tape. He never was a long snapper. He sent it out to colleges, got one to bite. But he didn't have any video of him being a long snapper. So he just showed a video. He sent out a video of his friend long snapping because that's the only video he had, and nobody got wise. That's how he got his long snapping job in college and then later the NFL. Well, Charlie Hewlett, who the Eagles just signed to replace Rick Lovato, a 2-time Super Bowl champion long snapper. They just brought in Charlie Hewlett from the Browns. He had made some rounds before that, but he's had a long NFL career as a long snapper. Here he is yesterday talking about how he got his start as a long snapper.
It was in high school. I started snapping just because, the senior who did it before he graduated. I was a tight end throughout high school. So I did it a little bit in high school, didn't really take it serious. Ended up being a walk-on at UCF as a tight end. And our starting snapper randomly quit like right before training camp started. So it was like a open tryout. And so that was my true freshman year. And there was like 2 or 3 of us that went out for the job, and I ended up getting it. And I wasn't very good at it at the time, but the head coach brought me into his office and just said, "You're a starting snapper and you're not a tight end anymore. And this is all you're going to do." And I was a little bit caught off guard and shocked, but here I am. It worked out. So, kind of happy he did that, I guess.
Now, normally this is nothing. This means nothing, normally. But when you go on to have a 10-year NFL career, when we talk, look, I don't know, maybe he was a great tight end, but something tells me he wasn't that great a tight end if the coach was just like, these 3 guys suck, but this guy sucks the least. Hey, you're now the long snapper. You're no longer a tight end. And then he goes on to have a 10-year NFL career. All because one kid was like, nah, I don't want to do it. And look, I don't know the story. I tried looking it up. I don't know why a long snapper quit UCF abruptly. I don't know why. But it happened, and Charlie Hewitt has a 10-year NFL career and counting at 34 years old, and now joins the Super Bowl champ. Just some kids just like, nope, don't want to do it anymore. And then 3 guys try out. Apparently they're all bad. And one guy was the least bad of them all, and now he's a 10-year NFL veteran. Funny how the world works, folks. Funny how the world works. So there you go. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase. Hey, you want to go see the Sixers take on the Wizards in South Philly for $4? You can do that on the Game Time app. Use promo code Farzy and get $20 off your first purchase. I don't know the rules. If you don't even get to the 20, if the tickets are even $20, if they're not $20, do they give you 16? I don't know. Anyway, download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. Whether or not you want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show, the big event, Game Time has you covered. And don't forget to use Game Time Picks, which filters out all the fluff. So you get right down to it. The best seats at the best prices with the Game Time app. So once again, download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing. Oh, wait, did I not do it? Oh, yeah, why I have confidence in Jalen Hurts. That's why I have confidence in Jalen Hurts. Now let's get into the chat check. Chat's popping off today. What's going on? Getting to the top here. Toby Krause, what's going on? Hello. Good morning, Xander. I'm Toby with a C. It's time to start a rerun. Fly, Eagles, fly. Xander's not producing. That's all on me. Farzy show for new people. 6 to 6:30. We usually get started. And that's being generous. Tate, early for the room. There you go, Tate. Thank you. Wake up. Let's hit the show on the road. Crow, thank you. Appreciate you. Good morning. I was up. Good morning, Farzy and friends. Had to double check my clock. That's not 6:45. It's not. Why Niners won. Thank you. Danny, what's going on? How you doing? Good morning. Sean Gillespie, Sean Kilrain, receiving yards per game. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, highest paid in NFL history. The other one is I still like the Eagles receiving core. Tate Jeffries, haha, Farzy, Sixers, perfect loss, right? Perfect loss. Thank you. Wait, James Jones, who are most these players you signed? Who are most of the players you signed? No guys looking for a second chance. Third in some cases. Buddy Christ, good morning. Michael Gross, what's going on? What Howie and Eagles are doing, nobody saw coming and is absolute pure genius. I mean, I hope it's like I get the idea. They signed a dominant running back. They extended a dominant running back. They took a chance on a linebacker. He paid off in a major way. Genius. I think Howie is a magical wizard. I would say genius, sure. But it kind of feels like right now. Look, Adoree Jackson's a proven commodity. You know, when I say proven commodity, I don't mean like he's a perennial All-Pro or anything crazy like that. He's just what he is. You know what you're getting. He's one of the few guys that you know exactly what you're getting. Uche, you don't know if you're getting a guy that's had 5.5 sacks in the last 3 years or a guy that had 11.5 sacks in 8 games of 1 year. It's like if playing the lottery is your retirement plan, that ain't a great plan. It might work out, but it ain't a great plan. Andrew Jackson, hello. Not too shabby, that many on the Giants. Hopefully he remains healthy. There we go. What's going to happen with Bryce Huff? I'd love to know. I don't know how you're going to trade him. Like right now, if he feels like the Taiwan Walker of the Eagles. That's what he feels like. Jason A. Good morning, Jason A. Michael Gross, I will say this. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't overpay for Garrett. I'm glad they didn't overpay for Bosa. That I absolutely agree with you on. James Jones, do you agree that the Giants need to fire their GM? I love the Giants GM. I think he's doing a great job. If another team loves you, you should probably fire that guy. Giants and the Eagles farm team. Here we go. William Starr, good morning, Farzy. Everyone, nice signing with Ojulari. I agree. Giants revenge, possibly. I doubt it. Let's hope the Giants have a plan and know what they are doing. I can't believe I just said that. Why? Why? I hope they don't have a plan. I hope they just continue to do dumb things. I'll put it like this. I hope that for every rookie, after their rookie deal is complete and they've had injuries or whatever, I hope that Ojulari plays in a way that makes every team second guess getting rid of that rookie. Like, for a much different reason, more so production, people are second guessing whether or not to even give a 5-year extension or give the 5th-year extension on Jordan Davis. Pick up the 5th-year option. People are wondering. I wouldn't do it. I thought last year was supposed to be the do or die deal. But hey, I hope Azeez Ojulari is the one that goes out there and gives everybody pause when they want to move on from a rookie after the rookie deal. James Jones, I'm a Washington fan. Dallas, G-Men, moves lately. Wow. Is all okay. Jason A. Uche might be a steal. I hope he is. Sean Kilrain. Eagles adding 2 edges, 2 tight ends before we reach the 2025 draft. Tells you everything to know about Bryce Huff and Dallas Goedert. That's a good point, Sean. Chip season birds. Carter season. Love it. Drakeford. Undersized, non-prototypical linebackers setting the edge. How big is... I know Ojulari, depending on what you want to read, or depending on what you want to believe, 6'2", 6'3". 240 pounds. What is Uche? I thought Uche was a taller dude as well. He's 6'1". Okay. 6'1", 240 as well. Holy Stromboli. Ojulari needs to put some meat on them bones. Get some cheesesteaks for that kid. He'll be 25 when the season starts. Uche will be 25 when the season starts. Ojulari will be 25 when the season starts. No, wait. Uche will be 27. 27 when the season starts. Yeah. First month of the season. That makes sense. Michael Gross. Cowboys and Giants will be trying to stay out of last place. It'll be a battle. Ty Banks live. Never fear. Howie is here. What up, Farzy? What up, Ty? Who, Ty? Ty here. Hi, Ty. April. Morning, April. This conversation. I don't know. Oh, Sean's got some numbers for us. Players with most sacks that played under 400 snaps last season. Aiden Hutchinson. Wow, 7.5. Azeez Ojulari, 6. Von Miller, 6. Nick Herbig, 5.5. I'll take it. I'd rather you play a lot of games and still have that production in those games. Popping off here. Michael Fax. Wine Niners wine. We should all be happy Howie did more than Jerry did last year when he was all in. Let's enjoy 30 years of irrelevance with the Cowboys. It is a beautiful thing. That is a gorgeous thing is what it is. James Jones, playoff hurts is deadly and can read a defense, but he was doing it during the season too. Farzy, who knew Barkley, bro? Wow. I I don't know why I feel like a jerk, but even before this year with the Eagles, watching Saquon Barkley with the Giants, and this isn't a Penn State thing. I'm not a Penn State guy, whatever, but he just ran different. Like, I don't know how to, there's no analytic for it. There's nothing. I watched him with the Giants and went, this guy is, you get this guy behind a decent offensive line and he is going to show off. And I said that his whole career. Injuries and everything. I said, this guy might be the best back in the league. And yes, I'm talking about Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, blah, 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 blah. All the talent in the world. Kicks the injuries, gets an offensive line. This guy's going to show people. And that's exactly what's happened here in Philadelphia. I am not surprised in the least with Saquon Barkley. That's why even when the Eagles brought him in, I told you guys a number of times, I just stared at my phone like a confused dog. Like my head was tilted. And I was just like, they actually signed a running, like a really good running back? A great running back? This is pretty damn good. Yeah, I had a great feeling about it. Mr. Sandman, what's going on? Remember Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday arguing over plays? Jeff wanted to run the ball and Peyton wanted to pass. Yeah, right? That's a great sideline clip. Brian Pumper, Farzy talking as if he wanted the Sixers to win. Fars, come on, man. That was a perfect game. I know it was the perfect game. But like when I watch the games, I tend to feel more for the players. Like the front office wants to lose. Everyone knows. The city, we want them to lose. But when I see guys going out there, putting in top effort, performing at an extremely high level, and then an extremely low level in the third quarter, and then definitely plateauing, I kind of feel for them. When I'll say that the first 30 seconds of the game, I'm watching Quentin Grimes, and I don't think Quentin Grimes is ever dogging it by any. I'm not throwing shade, but you notice sometimes when a player has a step up to his game, and the adrenaline was definitely pumping last night for Quentin Grimes. Like it was like he was playing like at a Game 7 level. And first 30 seconds of the game, you could see that. And he's a Houston product, so he's in Houston. He's playing in front of a lot of friends and family, probably teammates, whatever, ex-teammates. And he gets a steal in the opening. I want to say it was the opening minute of the game. Goes the other way and misses the dunk. Like he was a little too amped up. And then he goes on to have a career night. I love to see it, but I still want the final result for them to be to lose. And that's what they did. Wrong mouse. There we go. Appreciate everyone. Farzy glazing long snapper. Damn right. With no stone left unturned. Thank you. Someone check out Hassan. Mr. Sam, haven't seen Farzi's daughter in a while. Must be holding out a contract extension. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's got Howie Roseman as a representative. Howie's trying to negotiate more Nutella, more mac and cheese, the good mac and cheese. It's vicious. It's a brutal battle right now. Why are you giving me the finger? For me, it hurts. Why? Thank you, James. Jason A. What's up, Jason A? Farzy, do you think the Sixers will be able to keep Grimes? Yes. I know he's a restricted free agent, but he might make more money than the Sixers are willing to pay. Yeah, I think he stays in Philly. I'll give you a reason later. I don't really have one right now. Hey, buongiorno, buona giornata. Thank you so much. Same to you. T-Bro, happy Hughes Day, my man. I did not see Hughes' first pitch yesterday. Oh, is that on? I'll have to find. Oh, maybe I'll just punch it up real quick. I'm sure WIP put it out there. I mean, right? They would have to put it out there. It'd be rude not to. Contract extension. Oh, wait. Is this it? Oh, this is my man. All right, here we go. The wind up. All right, hold on. The wind up. Okay, that's a balk, Hugh. That's a balk. That's 3 pump fakes, Hugh? Really? Jeez Louise, man. Oh, he bounced it. Hugh Lamont Douglas III. We're going to have a conversation, young man. And here's something I didn't know until I threw out a first pitch once. They only allow former players and apparently huge celebrities to throw from the bump. I was like, hey, if I get a choice here, I'm throwing from the bump. I'm not throwing from in front. They go, nope, only former players. I go, get out of here. And I had to throw. I dusted the corner for the record. I threw a strike. I didn't bounce it. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Thank you very much. And this is a perfect segue, actually. Yeah, perfect segue. So I got a call on Saturday that, I got a text. I got a text on Saturday from my old friend, Joe Wechter. And Joe and I have stayed in touch a little bit over the years since I left WIP in 2018. And I worked with Joe Wechter for 13 years. And they announced that Joe Wechter is retiring. And Joe was kind enough to text me on Saturday that he was retiring after 38 years with WIP. Now, this includes before WIP flipped format to a sports station. That's how long Joe Wechter was at WIP. And when Angelo Cataldi came out of newspapers and went into radio full time, there's a reason he grabbed Joe Wechter, who is a radio guy through and through. And I'll never forget, all the years I had working with Joe, especially my first couple of years working with Joe Wechter in the morning show. And I still consider Joe a dear friend. And I'm honored that he reached out. I really hope that people know the story of Joe Wechter and why he is one of the most important figures in sports talk radio. And I don't just mean Philadelphia. You think about Mike and the Mad Dog kicking it off in New York and getting that format started, and then it trickling to Philadelphia. Joe Wechter is a huge reason why sports talk radio took off. Joe was the guy behind the scenes, finding stories, writing bits, giving lines to talent on the air. Joe was always behind. A good producer speaks through the board. That's what I learned from Joe Wechter. A good producer isn't always just going on the air and talking. A good producer is the guy that's punching something up with a sound bite, punching something up with a drop, punching something up by giving a line to somebody on the talent. I can't tell you how many times I saw Joe, push a button to go in somebody's headset and be like, and they'd whisper a joke. The person would laugh and then say the line, and it would kill 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life, Joe Wechter. And there is no greater compliment I can give him than an appropriate compliment, accurate compliment, that he is one of the most influential figures in sports talk radio. Again, when it comes to finding that good story, hearing that one soundbite, passing it on to Angelo, passing it on to whoever, he just had his fingers on the city, knowing what the city wanted to hear, knowing what the city needed to hear. And I feel like, unfortunately, in my time there, he was so underappreciated by some of the powers that be. And I only hope that right now, at the end, he gets his due and he gets the credit that he deserves. So, Joseph A. Wechter Jr., congratulations on 38 years, man. I hope one day you get the credit that you are due. Hard to find a more influential sports figure than him when it comes to sports talk radio across the country, not just Philadelphia. So congratulations, Joe. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. Back with you guys tomorrow, right here for the Farzy Show. See you guys then. Have a great rest of your day.